Janthir Wilds launches today. We've got the launch trailer here. We've got a roadmap for the entire expansion. We're going to be going over that right now. We'll probably have a look at the trailer as well at the end so we can get hyped up there. It's got some of the soundtrack in there, which, by the way, the soundtrack has been posted to YouTube and a whole bunch of other places at this point. It's really good. You should listen to it, and you can also face this witch in combat, guys. I think some people are going to enjoy that maybe a little bit too much. But anyway, we've got a roadmap here, a couple of updates here, you know, kind of when some stuff's happening there, like a lot going on in the first quarterly update, actually, guys. There's going to be a balance patch and some stuff there with a new PvP game mode. I think a really big note here as well, if you're just going to listen to this, you know, and pay attention to what I've got to say about the roadmap. I will read the roadmap to you, but here's a really key point, actually. The big change that's happening with Janthir Wilds is actually that we're not getting a single map that's expanding in the second and third quarterly updates. They've in fact decided to do 2 individual maps instead. I actually think this is a much better approach than kind of the expanding map thing. I feel like that's never really worked out super well for them, to be honest. I like the idea of the maps being more self-contained. They might be kind of adjacent or nearby, kind of how the core game maps are. That kind of thing, but they are going to have, you know, their own timers, their own environment, and of course being a separate instance as well. I think that's a better idea. It really didn't work out well to expand the maps like in Nios. That did not work, in my opinion, super well. So I think this is a really positive change, really positive update. So yeah, that's kind of like the thing there as well. And well, let's go ahead and launch ourselves into this roadmap as well, guys. You know, we've got a lot going on here, so let's take a look. So, what's happening on launch? That's today, of course, or, well, not today if you're watching this in the future. So, we've got the launch story arc. We've got 2 maps, Lowland Shore and Janthir Sintry. No instant encounters, which is, you know, that's a little bit different. We haven't really had that. You know, EOD and Soto both have those strike missions, so a different experience there for sure. In terms of features, we've got homesteads coming in. Of course, the decoration overhaul, which means that the homestead systems, that's being added to the guild hall as well. The handiwork crafting discipline. This is basically a crafting discipline attached to a mastery, essentially. So it's like a cheap version of Scribe. And then, of course, we have spears for all professions, 6 Janthir Wilds exclusive relics, a new ranger pet as well. Ranger not beating the favoritism accusation, guys. Oh dear. Oh no, they added a new pet. It must mean that ArenaNet loves Ranger. Ranger's the new guardian. Then, of course, with the masteries, we have homesteading, Lowland Coding, which is probably going to be some like bonuses on the maps and so on, and then of course the Warclaw. And in terms of the big rewards, we've got the 3 armor sets, 2 weapon sets, and the Wizard's Vault seasonal refresh, and of course some more stuff in there as well. There'll be a bunch of achievements like random cosmetics, and of course that fun quest style thing, right? Where you have to go out into the world and you'll be able to unlock that that spear that has like that glowing effect as well, kind of like that spear that's coming on launch there as well, which is pretty cool. Very exciting stuff there, if you ask me. And this is worth noting, actually. There's a couple of extra details about this first update, this first quarter, because we've got this is happening right now on launch, but in the, you know, the following months leading up to the first quarterly update, we're also going to be having, of course, the usual stuff. We've got the festival happening there with Halloween. We've got a skills and balance update as well, coming too, as usual. A world versus world update, so interesting. That's probably going to be some tweaks to how, you know, the world restructuring is going, maybe kind of some future plans in that regard. A beta event for the new PvP mode, super fun. That's coming very, very soon then. And the return of Tournament of Legends and multiple bonus events. And actually, these bonus events are worth talking about. Before we get into the rest of the roadmap, we can talk about those too. Actually, no, we're going to do the roadmap first. We'll talk about the bonus events as well. These are actually really cool, though. I really like these bonus events, and I'm really glad to see them basically have these back-to-back, right? You can see that these are just back-to-back here, right? Twitch drops, Anniversary Week, Fractal Rush, Return to Path of Fire, World vs. World Rush, Living World Season 4 Rush, and then, of course, the festival. I actually really like these. I think they do a great job of kind of adding variety and getting players going back to old areas of the game that don't often have, you know, don't always have loads of people playing them. I really like the Season 3 rush in particular. I guess, I said I was going to do this afterwards, but I did it now. Boom. That's what we do. Would be nice to see some, dates actually for Tournament of Legends, because I kind of want to plan some of my events around that, and it's a big event. Like, you know, teams want to start practicing for this. It's a big one. You want to be getting your teams together, you know, earlier rather than later, so you can do well in this tournament. So that would be nice to have some like more information on there as well. But actually, it's going to be a bit of a packed a packed 3 months here as well, to be honest. But yeah, I like this a lot. Really, these rushes, it gets players into the game. It gets them to try different things, like try fractals, try PvP, try world versus world. Very useful, especially because ArenaNet are testing new systems with world restructuring, and they're going to be wanting to, getting loads of players in to test it and see how it works out, and, see if new players are liking it. Same with the PvP mode and all that kind of stuff there as well. But anyway, I like that. I like that that's continuing going into Janthir Worlds as well. But anyway, let's have a look at the rest here, guys. Have a look at the rest of the roadmap here. So what's happening in the first quarterly update? And as a quick reminder, these are quarterly updates. It's kind of in the name. This is going to be about 3 months after launch, so kind of in November, that sort of thing. And then it'll be another 3 months later for update 2, and then another 3 months for the finale of Janthir Worlds. So in update 1, we've got more story. No map this time, though, but instead of that map, we are getting this instance content hit, which is going to be the raid wing. So 3 encounters in this raid. And this is just the normal mode, right? And then there's the convergence version of this raid wing 2. New Homestead decorations, 6 more relics, mastery updates, and this one actually is something that I am kind of looking forward to, actually, is the legendary spear, a new weapon set, and of course the Wizard's Vault, usual stuff that happens there as well. I really hope, because we are getting 2 legendaries. It's the backpack, which is later on here in the final update, and this spear. I hope they've actually gone hard here with a collection. I do think that this legendary spear has the potential to be content, right? I don't want to just be throwing materials into the Mystic Forge and talking to NPCs. I really hope that we are going to be, sent out on a quest to go and get this thing done, because we're only getting 2 legendary items as opposed to 3 armor sets that we got in Soto. And of course in EOD we had all of the variants that also had their own collections attached to them as well, like different for each variant, like associated with each Elder Dragon. So I really hope they go hard on this and make it like a really fun experience there as well, because there is no map here. So that means that this raid wing and the legendary spear, I think, do have to do some of that heavy lifting to actually make sure that there is that kind of RP open world style experience, and that alongside with the convergence will hopefully still give you that kind of like story experience there as well. And of course the story will still exist. It will just be going on in the old maps, right? The old maps, the maps that exist on launch. Update number 2, obviously more story. That's going to be the 3rd map again. Like we're going to have like a map in 2 pieces, but now it's going to be 2 maps separated out as opposed to 1 joined together. I think this is a really good thing. It means that the maps are going to be self-contained. They're not going to have this kind of unfinished feel to them, probably giving them a bit more room to breathe in terms of the design and how they're laid out and what events are on them and that kind of stuff. So I think a very good call by ArenaNet to go this direction. I think this is going to work out better actually for the players here. We're, of course, getting the Raid Challenge mode and Legendary mode. More decorations, obviously, and it'd be really cool, actually, if there was some associated with the Raid Wing, and, of course, the Challenge mode and Legendary mode. That would be so sick, actually, if there was, like, a special decoration for beating it on Challenge mode. We have more relics, a lot of relics coming in this expansion, so 24 total relics, so that's going to be really cool, actually. And bear in mind, you have to unlock these too, right? Like, it's not, the legendary relic will not have these baseline. You're going to have to go out and collect them. I think that's also going to help with kind of making sure that there is that exploration style content with these updates, because you're going to have to go out, do a collection, do some achievements or whatever, right, in order to get these. Personally, I actually like that. This is a good call, in my opinion, when it comes to these relics. Like, getting them for free on the legendary relic, it's convenient, but it's also kind of boring, right? It means you don't have any content. Like, all that content is essentially obsolete for players who have that legendary relic, which that's just no good, really, is it? More mastery stuff, blah, 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 blah. And then, of course, another armor set, weapon set, and the Wizard's Vault seasonal refresh there as well. So kind of the armor set kind of doing the heavy lifting as opposed to the spear and the backpack coming up there as well. And then finally, the conclusion of the story is coming in update 3. The 4th map, final map of the expansion, Fractal with challenge mode and convergence challenge mode. So the content's very spread out here. I was almost hoping that the convergence challenge mode was actually going to drop on launch of the convergence. That would be really exciting to go along with that raid wing. Looks like we're going to have to wait a bit for it, but honestly, I actually kind of don't hate it. It means they are going to have some time to cook that up and hopefully make it really, really cool. And that does mean that the content is well spread out, to be fair. It's not going to feel like, oh yeah, there's something going on in update 3. Update 3 is also going to be pretty packed in there as well. Having the fractal with the challenge mode. This is probably the only thing that I'm a little bit scared of, to be honest. It's like, oh boy, like this fractal needs to be good. Okay, it's been a bit of a rough ride for our fractal fans over the last couple of updates to this game mode. Ooh, this had better be good. I really want to see a return to that dungeon style, you know, kind of nightmare fractal, Shadowed Observatory, and Sunquar Peak normal mode, right? Without the, you know, time-gated RP, right? We need a return to that. This has to be very good, in my opinion, because I think the fractal community is kind of in despair right now. People are still kind of dodging Lonely Tower. It is not a popular piece of content, to be honest. So this has got to be good. It's probably the only thing here that I'm worried about. I'm obviously like a little bit, you know, like, oh, what if the raid isn't good? Because it's hard to get a raid right. I'm not, you know, I'm not dooming it. It's hard to do raids. That's not a surprise, right? It's difficult content to design. It's difficult content to get right. And, you know, Soto was a bit up and down in that regard as well. But I'm cautiously optimistic when it comes to the raids. I'm actually really hyped for the Convergence. The Convergence, I think, is going to be really exciting. I love that kind of 50-player experience. And yeah, the thing is about Convergences is that I'm really hoping it can kind of give me that Dragon's End experience, because Dragon's End was obviously a very controversial bit of content in End of Dragons, but for me, it was one of the best things we've ever done in game. Like we had something like 500 people in Discord simultaneously, all trying to do Dragon's End on different maps, like in our guild. That was so exciting to be a part of. I would open a squad, it filled up within like 2 seconds, right? With people wanting to do Dragon's End. Obviously, it caused some friction in the community, and that's why I think Convergences have the potential to kind of be the best of both worlds, right? Like having the instance means you have more control, right? You can set your squad up how you want it, right? You can prepare. You have, you know, you can do it when you're ready, right? And because it is in that instance, right, it's kind of there. And it's also an optional difficulty mode, right? It's not going to be mandatory in the same way that Dragon's End was when it comes to unlocking stuff like the turtle. So I'm really interested to see where this goes. And they've already hinted that they want these Convergences to be a little bit trickier, especially the challenge mode, I imagine. So it's something that I'm really interested in doing, actually, because it could be this kind of balanced way of approaching 50-player raid-style content almost that I think could actually be really cool, you know, in the same way that Dragon's End was before it got nerfed. And stuff like Triple Trouble, right? It's the type of content that I really enjoy. That's really cool, you know, like raiding is fun, but you can only do it with 10 people. I love being able to kind of involve a wider section of the community, right? Having these massive epic-style encounters. And I have 50 people in the squad, have the whole stream in there, the whole guild in there. It's really, really fun. So yeah, but Fractal Challenge Mode, I almost feel like an approach could be don't do a challenge mode for this stuff and really focus on that dungeon experience, at least until they found their footing again with Fractals. Like, adding that challenge mode in there, it just feels like they're maybe overstretching themselves a little bit with developing this. But we'll see. We'll see. You know, we shouldn't judge it until it releases. You know, they've had a lot of feedback, you know. They've had a lot of feedback over the past couple of years on Fractals. Let's see if that gets actioned. And then, of course, new Homestead decorations, the final set of relics, more mastery updates, and the legendary backpack. This is going to be, you know, it's pretty late in the day, right? If you think about it, right? It's going to be dropping 3 months. Bear in mind, guys, Update 4 is the next expansion, right? This is Guild Wars 2 now. Launch, Update 1, Update 2, Update 3, next expansion. So we're moving, right? We are moving right now in terms of this. So, you know, you're going to have that, you know, you're almost going to have this like continuous flow of content into the next expansion. We can really see kind of the engine kind of revving up here in how we're going to be developing Guild Wars 2 over the next couple of years with this one. So that's pretty interesting stuff, actually. But yeah, there you go. That's the roadmap. And, you know, look, I will say this now. The feature set here is really good. I will definitely say it's a bit light on launch because I'm not really a Homestead player. If you're a Homestead player, this launch is going to be sick, I think. But I'm not. So for me, it's a bit light. I would love it if the raid was on launch with the Convergence, or if the legendary spear was on launch so I could grind that out. That would be really cool. But if you actually look at this as a complete package, the feature set here is really strong. Raid Wing, Convergence, which is like a 50-player open world raid with a challenge mode. Fractal with a challenge mode. Would be nice to get more 5-player content. I think that is something that Guild Wars 2 lacks. Maybe 2 Fractals, but with no challenge modes. I think that would actually be better than a Fractal with a challenge mode. That's my personal opinion. You got 4 maps coming into this as well. You got the Homestead. You've got the Spears coming into the mix. 24 relics. This is a pretty fat expansion, to be honest. Like, this is a very, very solid feature set, much stronger than Soto. That's for sure, in terms of what's actually coming in this. And when we're actually into these updates, it's going to be very, very good. You know, I have said this. I am going to do a Guild Wars 2 expansion tier list, actually. And look, I've said this on stream. I will say it again. If I had to guess, my expansion order is HOT being the best, followed by EOD, then Path of Fire, then Soto. I think that this feature set does have the potential to be up there with EOD in kind of that, in one of the stronger Guild Wars 2 expansions, in my opinion. So, yeah, that's kind of where I'd be putting it, right? That's where I'd expect it to be ending up. Like, there's definitely some debate over how good elite specs are in terms of carrying expansions. Like, Path of Fire had elite specs, for example. This expansion doesn't. And they do have a lot of value, right? Elite specs are incredibly exciting and, like, add completely new stuff to the game. And who knows, maybe we'll see some elite specs again in the future. But I'm actually expecting this to be one of the better Guild Wars 2 expansions, actually. Bit of a return to form, perhaps, actually, in terms of what's going on with all of this stuff. But anyway, we shall see. That is kind of what's going on there, what's going on now, and what's going on over the next year of development here for Guild Wars 2. And yeah, I guess a bit of a detail here. The maps are going to be a similar size to Lake Doric, as you can see here. So it's kind of this section. It's going to be like two of these, like smushed up against each other, I guess, or maybe like slightly separated. So, you know, Lake Doric, not the biggest map of all time, but it's not small either, right? You know, it's kind of like maybe half the size of like a normal core Tyria map. And to be honest, the key with maps in my mind is not really how big the map is. It's very much like what's actually in it, right? Like you could, you know, the Path of Fire maps are really, really pretty and they're really, really expansive and huge, but I'm not gonna lie, there's not that much going on there after that initial exploration is over. I think it's much better to have like a very detailed kind of map with a bunch of exciting stuff going on there. And bear in mind, you are getting two pieces, so we are getting a lot of open world content, in my opinion, with this expansion. And again, like I said, the real key is making the activities on that map fun, all the little exploration features, little quests and collections to go on. Like, that's what you really need. It's not about having like the most epically sized map ever. And even so, I think it is going to be a decent chunk of map there as well, if you ask me. But anyway, that's it. We've got the festivals here as well, of course, going on. And we have this picture of a bear. Okay, you know, look, there you go. It's looking very, kind of very stoic, looking very pensive, looking out into the wilds of Janthir as well. But anyway, that's going to just about do it. I guess we can have a little watch of the trailer here. We can get a little flavor for Janthir here at the end, guys. Let's have a little look at this here as well. We get a bit of a report of what's going on here. And actually, we do get a bit of a listen to the soundtrack of the expansion as well, which is really exciting, by the way. I am super hyped to actually hear the return of Brian Atkinson, actually, who did a lot of the stuff on Soto, especially kind of the heavier tracks involved there with the Bloodied Lord and so on. This soundtrack is insane. You're getting a little bit of The Witcher in here as well, I think. Sounds a little bit like that, but yeah, it's really cool. Look at that bear cub. Look at that, guys. Spears. Yeah, really, really fun. Really fun soundtrack, actually. Incredibly epic. Definitely take a listen to it. It's on YouTube and Spotify and all these couple of locations. But yeah, the OST is absolute fire there. Getting a bit of an overview of what's going on here. Look, you could... Oh! Dude, look, you can fight a stag! You can fight a rockman! Let's go! You could have a house.
Something spilling out of the Isles, attacking their outposts and animals.
Yeah. Look, what is this enemy? This one looked really funny to me because I watched the trailer. I was like, wait, what is this? It's like 3 floating rocks. Like, that's the enemy.
Strangers.
Boom! Look at that Conan slamming. Challenge a new raid and fearsome convergences. I'm converging. Yeah, this world boss is really cool. This is the one we saw in some of the preview footage that on Bloom and some of the press, the gaming press, had access to. This is Greer the Blightbringer, or maybe the other one. There's 2 of them, so who knows? But yeah, this one looks sick. I actually really like the model on this one, like the animations of it, are really, really good on this Titan. Gonna be a hype world boss. It's got some cool Warclaw mechanics in there as well. And yeah, the wizards are back for some reason. Spears. Titan kind of combined with the Mersat stuff over there too, like the Jade armors. Ooh.
I'll let you know if we have to sound any alarms. Keep a squad on alert. End of report.
End of report. Literally self-reporting right now. Sus. There's probably an Among Us you can find in this logo, right? And look, is it going to tell you to buy the game using my referral link? Yes. Yes, it is. But yeah, you know, interesting vibes on this trailer. You know, I do want them to go all in. You know, like I love it when they do like the full cinematic trailers. We kind of got that with EOD. It's probably a little bit harder for them to do on this like 1 year cadence compared to the longer expansion cycles here as well. Like, that will be really, really cool though. It's fantastic when they do that. You know, I understand. I understand it's not always possible. I get it. But it would be nice if they did that, you know, like this expansion trailer. It's a little toned down, little chill, you know, a bit of a kind of a chill, explore kind of ominous vibe going on there as well. But ArenaNet do famously play it close to the chest with story as well. So I'm expecting that they are gonna try and throw some big stuff at us, but actually in the game as well, as opposed to you know, just in the trailer as well. But you know, one day we're gonna get the full 3D cinematic that we've been longing for in Guild Wars 2. But until then, I guess we can master the spear in that regard. But anyway, we could ramble on for a long time. But listen, if you want to hear me ramble on for a long time, you should watch me live stream. Okay, you should come to the stream. It's probably live right now, realistically, on YouTube and on Twitch. Come and farm your Twitch drops here, guys. Get on that. But anyway, that is the roadmap. Let me know what you think. Of course. Leave your comments down below, like the video, subscribe, watch every other video, and look, stay tuned, my friends. Big Janthir Wilds content coming out over the next couple of weeks here on this channel. Going to be playing through all of it on the Zero to Hero account, so definitely hop on board if you want to. Join me in that as well. But I think that'll just about do it. Be sure to follow, subscribe, like, leave your comment, engage in algorithm-related activities. And of course, I'll see you on the stream. And I'll see you next time here on YouTube. Goodbye, YouTube. We'll see you next time.